So this is Dempsey Hill. Back in the 19th century, this area was a nutmeg plantation. So we've got the Dempsey area here, and then across the road behind, on the other side, is the Singapore Botanic Gardens. This whole area, back in the 19th century, was a nutmeg plantation. Apparently there was a kind of a bug that killed off all the nutmeg plants back in the 1850s, and then after that it was bought by the British, basically, and they bought it for a pretty good price, I understand. And then Dempsey gets its name from the British Commander-in-Chief, and that was in charge of the military here in Singapore. And this whole area became military barracks, so a lot of the buildings here were the ones that were used by the British military before Singapore became an independent nation. So Singapore got its independence from the UK in 1963 when it joined with Malaya to form Malaysia. And then in 1956 it split from Malaysia to become an independent nation in its own right. However, the military from the UK did actually stay here until the 1970s, and then after that it was used by the Singapore military up until 1989, and then after that it kind of went into it wasn't used for a while, and nowadays it's full of upmarket restaurants, and it's a place you come to really for all types of food, everything from the famous local chili crab to Peruvian food. Yeah, anything you want you can get it at Dempsey Hill.
At the Dempsey Hill Pond, you can say hi to the arapaimas. Arapaimas are freshwater fish that can be as long as 3 meters in length and live around 15 to 20 years. They're predatory fish, so they feed on crustaceans and will also eat other fish. First established by brothers Ryan and Andre Huber in 2007, Huber's Butchery has operated at 22 Dempsey Road since 2015. The brothers learned their trade from their Swiss father Ernst, who studied butchery and cooking in Switzerland and previously founded Swiss Butchery, which first opened a branch on Bukit Road in 1994. Huber's is now a wholesale, retail and online business that sells around 1 million kilograms of meat a year. The butchery also has a 50-seat bistro, a kids' playground and lush gardens to explore.
And then behind me is a museum showing Singapore's Grand Prix history. So I'm going to take a look at that.
Slight correction here. This isn't a museum, but rather it's a temporary exhibition in place until September 2024. The exhibition highlights the achievements of those that helped to create Singapore's first Formula One Grand Prix in 2008, but also goes further to show the full history of motor racing in the country.
Singapore's first Grand Prix was in 1961.
The first Grand Prix was held in 1961. It was organised by the Singapore Motor Club with sponsorship from the Ministry of Culture. In the period of 1962 to 1965, the race was known as the Malaysia Grand Prix. This was due to Singapore leaving the British Empire and forming a new country with Malaya before parting with what became Malaysia in 1965 to become the independent nation it is today, and changing the name to the Singapore Grand Prix. The race operated along a 4.8 kilometre circuit at Upper Thomson Road and included bends such as Circus Hairpin, the Snakes and Peak Bend. You can still see the route surrounding the area that is now known as Thomson Nature Park. By the 1970s, the event had become popular and was televised in Asia and Oceania. However, the annual event was discontinued in 1974, with the reason given that the government had safety concerns due to a number of fatal crashes. Later, in 1986, the FIA held talks to see if a Singapore Grand Prix could be created, but the project failed to materialise. By 1988, plans were drawn for a track to be built in Changi, but the idea was again shelved and Singapore chose to build a golf course at the proposed location. By 1999, Malaysia became a stop on the Formula One calendar, but still Singapore did not have its own Grand Prix. Then, in 2005, former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew was quoted as saying that it was a stupid decision to ban motor racing, and that Singapore made a big mistake by not building a Formula One circuit. The government pushed ahead and continued talks with the FIA. His then president Bernie Ecclestone proposed the idea of Singapore being the first ever F1 race to be held at night time so that it could be watched by television viewers in Europe. An Italian lighting company, Valerio Miauli, was tasked with engineering lighting systems that could successfully illuminate the entire track in a way that would be safe for the drivers. In 2008, the Singapore Grand Prix was added to the F1 calendar. The SGP exhibition is free to enter from 11 AM to 6 PM at Block 26 Dempsey Road until the 30th of September 2024. I really like this exhibition, and as it's free, I'm going to give it top marks. 5 out of 5. Dempsey is definitely a chilled out area of Singapore, but if you want to work up a sweat, the Cage provides facilities to play football, cricket, baseball, paddle and more. At 26B Dempsey Road is Tanglin Distillery, with its Tanglin Jungle Gin Bar and Restaurant. They create and sell a range of award-winning gins, and the distillery tours are also available. Located on the corner of Minden Road and Harding Road, next to Dempsey, is St George's Church. The current building dates back to 1910, but there was an earlier St George's built in 1884 close to the location of the present church. Both churches were built for the British troops at the barracks on Dempsey Hill, known as Tanglin Barracks. After the British forces withdrew from Singapore, the building was used by Singapore's Ministry of Defence as its headquarters before it moved to new premises in Bukit Gombak. Nowadays, it's used as an Anglican church. Hidden away off Minden Road, the Open Farm Community is an open-concept kitchen and restaurant that focuses on locally sourced, seasonal and innovative dishes. They support a large network of local and Southeast Asian organic growers, herders and those that are in the business of bringing culture back into agriculture. They also try to limit single-use plastics, wasteful water and electricity usage, whilst placing an emphasis on recycling. The community also hosts farming workshops, events and activities aimed at both children and adults. Next door to the Open Farm Community Restaurant is Tiong Bahru Bakery's safari-themed cafe. Describing themselves as the best French bakery in Singapore, Tiong Bahru Bakery specialises in fresh pastries, savoury dishes, bread and coffee. Tiong Bahru Bakery's founder, Cynthia Chua, said she was inspired to create the cafe after taking a safari vacation in Botswana. A short walk from the Open Farm Community and the Tiong Bahru Bakery Safari Cafe is the Nassim Gate entrance to the Singapore Botanic Gardens. Following the end of nutmeg production, the gardens were created in 1859. They're one of only 3 gardens in the world and the only tropical garden to be honoured as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. If you're travelling from the Dempsey Road entrance, you can hop on the 7, 75, 77, 105 or 106 buses headed eastward and alight at the Napier MRT station just across the road from the Nassim Gate entrance. Alternatively, if you prefer to head somewhere with air conditioning, another 500 metres or so from Napier MRT station is Tanglin Mall. Not to be confused with Tanglin Shopping Centre, Tanglin Mall opened in 1995 and has 4 stories of mid-range boutiques and specialty shops, selling everything from clothing and kidswear to luxury furniture. As well as a great selection of restaurants, there are also well-stocked gourmet and organic supermarkets, as well as health and beauty salons. You can see Dempsey Hill circled here in red. It's not too far away from Holland Road, so there's a lot of buses that will go along Holland Road between Orchard area, which you can see on the right hand side of this map, up to Holland Village, which is off the map to the left. Across the road from Dempsey Hill is the Singapore Botanic Gardens, which is the green area on the map. And it's not too far away from Napier MRT station, which is circled in brown here and is on the Thomson East Coast Line. Dempsey Hill also provides a free shuttle bus that you can take from Holland Village or from the Tanglin Gate and Nassim Gate entrances to Singapore Botanic Gardens. Please do check the dempseyhill.com website for information before you plan your trip. I hope you enjoy this quick trip to Dempsey Hill. I'll add more videos soon. Thanks very much for watching.